Hello, my name is Holly from my daily HAEDs on YouTube and Instagram. I hope that you've all had a very good time since I've last spoken with you. Thank you for visiting with me today. I did record this yesterday and accidentally deleted the video. That's one of those things, isn't it? But here I am again, and I'm hoping that I'll do it better this time. I'm sure yesterday's was quite waffly, so maybe it was a good thing that that it disappeared into the ether. Today is Thursday, the 20th of October, 2022. All right, my first project today that I'll be speaking about is QS The Falling Snow by Alan Giana, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's on 25 count lugana. I worked on it this morning. I finished the diagonal right before I went away on holiday, and this morning I came back up here and did a 100 stitch block up here, and this is coming along quite well. My next block will be 25%, so I'm excited about that. I set myself a goal. Oh, and by the way, it's 24.96% as of this morning. Okay, I set myself a goal before I left. So the projects that I wasn't taking with me on holiday, which is the falling snow, mountain landscape, and mini evening, I was gonna finish the column on all, or finish the column or diagonal, and I did that. I did reach that and let it go. All right, next is mini mountain landscape. It's a stock photo, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's on 18 count aida, and that's what it looks like. It is a glorious pattern. It's currently at 26.38%, and like I said, I reached the bottom of it before I left, and I even went a little bit into the next column at the bottom because I was finishing off some threads. This flows. All my projects are full crosses. I did have someone ask me that if I do 10 stitch. No, this is all full crosses. I preferred full cross, not only by the look of it, but also for the stitching of it. I prefer it. Anyway, that is coming along really well. This is gridded with clover washable pen. I've gridded it myself. The previous one is gridded with washable quilting pencil. I wouldn't use it on any project that you're going to still be able to see the fabric itself, because it does leave very faint lines, but the lines are there. So if you're covering them, they're fine. You shouldn't be able to see them, but if you are using something that has open spaces on it, I wouldn't recommend a quilting pencil. Saying that, yeah, for smaller projects it should be fine. It's only when you leave it on the fabric like I do for roughly a year that it tends to get stay more on the fabric. Okay, and the next pattern, oops, let me get out of I'm all out of sync here. The next project is Mini Evening by Leonid Afremov. This is on 18 count, 2/1, full cross. This is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I was just watching Rocking Stitcher this morning. She put one out when I was away on holiday, and I didn't know it until this morning, and I was like, oh, I've got to watch it. And then she shouted me out, and I was like, oh, so exciting. It's she's my She's one of my cross-stitch rock stars. I know she's a rocking stitcher, but she's a rock star, cross-stitch rock star for me. All the HAED that she does is amazing. Anyway, mini evening is 2.7%, and I finished the first column on this as well before I left. And I'm so looking forward to getting back to this because I absolutely adore this pattern. So that will be a lot of excitement to get back to it. Yeah. And what I was going to say, Jemima was working on her related Aftermath, and it's absolutely stunning. So I might end up working on that one as well, because I didn't, by the photos or by the mock-up, I wasn't totally impressed, but seeing her work on it is just amazing. All right, this one is my main focus. It's I took it away with me on holiday. It's the Aimee Stewart's Birds and Blooms mini. I'm working on it 2/1 on 18 count full cross. I'm using the Stitch Coutiers. I've started a hashtag anything Aimee Sal, and I've been using that with this when I remember. Not very good at remembering. It's the medley of colors is just stunning. I really love it. What I am hoping to do on this is I've decided to do a dash for a finish. I want to have this finished before Christmas. I was originally hoping to have it done before its anniversary, which is November 4th. That won't be happening, but I will try to have it done before the end of the year. A Keystone Stitcher said that she was thinking about of doing the same thing with one of hers, and I think it's the Muerta de Dios, the pattern that she's chosen to try to, because she was close to a finish, so she's trying to get a finish on this. Now this one is it's 60.07%, so that's coming along very well. If I were gonna do 1% a die, it would be 580 stitches, because it's 58,000 stitches for the total project. I very, very much doubt I'd be able to do that many stitches every die. What my plans are at the moment is to work rotating the other 3 HAEDs out. So I did, Falling Snow, I did 100 stitches. So tomorrow I should do 100 stitches on Mountain Landscape, and then do 100 stitches on Saturday, and just rotate every 3 days, stitch on those, and then use the rest of the day that I have available to work on Birds and Blooms, to try to get it done, and hopefully by the end of November, but most likely probably be sometime in December. I don't like having my HAEDs lingering around too much. Most of them I usually have done within a year. I think one of them it took me, I think it was Garden Gate, and that took me quite a long time to 17 or 18 months to do. And that's just too much time for me. So I prefer to have them done within a year. So, but saying that, Mountain Landscape will not be done. Will not be done by end of March, because that's when I started it with Angie Slowly Crafts on her birthday as a birthday start. So it won't be done for her birthday. But I will do my best to get as much done as possible and finish it quickly. I might go back down to 3 HAEDs and stay there, but I said that last time, and I was just so keen to start on the mini evening that I kind of cheated. I should have just concentrated on Birds and Blooms, but I do love mini evening. It's a lovely pattern. Also, the reason why I was hoping to get a lot more done on Birds and Blooms while I was away on holiday the lighting was very, very poor, and I didn't think to take my magnifying lamp. I wish I had. There was only a small part of the day that the lighting was suitable on the patio, on the balcony, to our room. So, and also it was because we were facing the pool complex. It would get quite loud, and they'd play music and things, and sometimes loud noises and stitching don't always go together for me. But anyway, we were on holiday and we were doing all kinds of other things. I just had to, my electricity went off for a minute, so it's flicked everything off. Yeah, it was, we did a lot of, the first week we were there, it was quieter. There was mostly just adults there. And we just, we got some swimming in and spent our days very leisurely, just swimming and chatting and things like that. But the second week we went down to the village, or went over to the village, went down to the harbor and things like that. Our holiday wasn't about my stitching. It was more about spending time with my husband and exploring new things. We just had a very quiet, settled holiday. Now, one thing I did take on holiday is the stamped kit. This is the Welcome Fall stamped kit. It's on 14 count. I thought I would be stitching this beside the swimming pool, and then quickly realized when I took it down to the swimming pool that doing the stamped kit by a pool where people are jumping in and splashing everything was not the cleverest idea on the planet. So I ended up I did take it with me down to the harbor, and when I was watching my husband fish and stuff like that. So it did get some work on it. It's just gone. My whole pile here has just gone onto the floor. So anyway, I originally started off this last summer doing it in columns like I normally do. I wasn't happy with it. Then I started working block by block, but because I was changing colors so often, it's only three colors, but because of the stripes, you're changing colors quite regularly if you're doing block by block. And then when I was on holiday, I decided to start color completing per row. So I've just finished this morning the last of the color completion on that row, and I will be starting the next row soon. I'm really enjoying this. At first, when I first started it, I wasn't overly impressed with it, but I'm really enjoying it at the moment. So I've got a long way to go with this. It's no hurry. I have no plans on getting this done at any particular time. I only bought it to stitch in the back garden after I finished my husband's Love Sunset project, because it was taking my Kindle out into the back garden with the sun shining on the screen. It's hard to read the symbols, and also there's no real place to settle myself down, and it's quite windy, so I thought this works out quite well. It's also good for appointments or whenever I just like on holiday, I would just thread up several needles of the same color and just whip through those colors, and it was fine. I had intended to stitch on it on the plane, but I ended up doing crochet because this was on the way there. I had room to do it, but I'd put it in the overhead compartment, and it was just too much aggravation to try to get this out of the overhead compartment and do it when I already had my crochet with me. On the way back, it was very crowded and I was crocheting like this, so because I was in the middle seat and it was very cramped, but I was able to stitch on it in the airport, which is fine, and I'm glad I've got the first row done. All right, Blast from the Past is a previous stamped cross stitch that I was gifted years and years ago. The symbols were very similar, like most cross-stitch, stamped cross-stitch patterns. So it was a bit tricky at times to figure out what stitch I needed to, what floss I needed to put there. It's 11 count. I'm not overly keen on 11 count stitching with three threads, but I mean, it came out quite nice. And eventually, even though I've had it done for years, I plan to finish it off into a wall hanging, but it's been done for years and I haven't done that yet, so you can't really say that it's going to be done. So that's it for my cross stitching. I've just got a couple more things here. I took some knitting with me. I started these off. They're just, well, they were already started, to be honest. Those were started at the very bottom, but I got them out of the toe because I'm not a person who can do a toe or a heel or start off the cuff. I have to concentrate still. I learned to knit in my adulthood, so I'm not as intuitive with it as I am with my crochet. So I don't know what kind of yarn that is. My husband got it from the charity shop for me, which I really love it. I've already made one pair of socks out of that yarn, but I'm trying to be quite frugal. So I'll do the one pair of socks, and then I'll do the second pair of socks and just put in a toe and heel of a different color, kind of eke out the yarn a bit. I really love that yarn though. It's super soft. This is Heritage. This is Heritage Prints. It's a washable, dry, and able to go in the dryer yarn. I prefer those because I don't know how many times I've forgotten to put my knitted socks into the dryer that weren't supposed to go in the dryer, and there's been a few disasters. So I now always buy my sock wool that can go in the dryer, just to prevent any tears. But anyway, like I said, I started these, and these got pulled off. One of these the socks got pulled off the needles while I was away on a holiday, and that took a chunk of time to get it back on. But yeah, used to, I would have started all the way over, but because it's YouTube's got loads of videos that show you how to pick up stitches and stuff, and it's quite easy once you know how to do it. But anyway, I started off the toe at home, but I did about that much on holiday. It was quite amusing because people would guess what I was making, and they would make some really strange guesses on what I was making. And what I've worked on in the plain was, this is Ann Geddes Baby yarn, and I'm just making a little granny square blanket for a little girl. Once it's washed and I'll block it so that it's not so ruffly like this, but she'll love it to snuggle into. The holiday was lovely. I was nice to be able to getting off the plane and walking into warmth was amazing. The Greek people are very welcoming, very patriotic, hardworking people, and it was really nice to be able to meet with them. We got there, we thought it was near a beach, like my husband says. He said, well, their definition of a beach is different from mine because their shores are quite rocky. It's not, you have very, very little sand on the beach where we were. Most of them were like volcanic rocks, and you'll see those in the videos. But we were in a sweet little village. We didn't go on any excursions. We did rent a car. My husband rented a car last Thursday, and we drove around the eastern part of Crete. We went to the seaside and through the mountains on that side. It has a stark beauty to it. It is very barren in some ways. There's loads and loads. The industry of the island is mostly olives and tourism, and they raise goats and sheep and pigs. Most of the people that work in the touristy areas, they all go home. They call it home, and they live up in the mountains. Very few of them live on the seaside. At least that's what we were told. At least the ones we met. It was a wonderful experience. Some areas were quite, Greece experienced an economic collapse, 10 years ago or so, and there's still a lot of evidence of that. Wonderful things about the resort was there were people from all over Europe, and there were so many different languages there. You'd be walking past, and just walking to one area to another, you'd hear German and French and Portuguese and Spanish and Norwegian and Dutch and Russian, and of course Greek, and it was just so fabulous, and Turkish and and Hebrew, and our Everett. It was just I find it fascinating to hear a medley to hear so many different languages and to meet so many people from different cultures. And I try to learn a little bit of language, and at least you learn to say, we learned to say hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening in Greek, and it was nice to be able to, because it's like our cleaning lady. We had a lady that come in and do our room every day, and she'd go, Kalimera. And she was lovely, absolutely lovely. Aferosto is thank you. Parakalo is please, and it also means you are welcome. And Yamas means cheers. So, you could say that when you say thank you, or it'd be different ways. Yamas to say cheers or thank you, or you would. So that was quite fun. It was so that people were drinking their drinks and going Yamas. Or you'd say thank you to one of the servers, and the waiters or waitresses, and they would say Yamas. So it was really lovely. And we came back, and it was absolutely chilly. But the skies were blue, a bit breezy, and the trees are showing a lot more autumnal color, which is lovely. So we realized we knew we lived in a beautiful part of the world, but coming back from the starkness of Crete, I mean, the mountains in Crete were impressive, but it's also quite a stark beauty. You have to look close to see. But coming back to Northumberland is come really. And my husband, the first on Tuesday when he went back to work, he called me. He's like, "I'm missing you," because we'd spent so much time together. It was absolutely lovely to spend so much time with my husband. We played Scrabble, and it's a game. It's like a kind of a quiz game called Shot in the Dark, where you have to they ask you some, how many whatevers, and you have to, if you were an expert in that particular field, you'd know, but you have to guess, and everybody guesses because nobody knows the real answer. And but you just make your best guess, and whoever gets closest wins. Nothing, but yeah, it just, you get kudos for that one round. We played Uno, and my husband took his poker chips, and we played rummy, and all kinds of, we played card games. The weather was lovely except for the Saturday and Sunday right before we left. Saturday was a lot of rain and thunder and lightning. We stayed in. Everybody pretty much stayed in because it was just a real gully washer, as my grandmother would call it. Sunday it was still cloudy, but my husband and I didn't want to spend our last day in the resort because it's resort in a very tropical, Mediterranean area. They're not used to needing all of their a lot of indoor space, so most of their spaces are geared towards having a lot of people in the outdoors. So when it was really raining hard Saturday, everybody was like crowded really hard on top of each other. All the public spaces were standing room only. So it was I ended up spending a lot of time in the room that day. But it was on Sunday we went. Oh, and there was this one day when my husband and I were down at the harbor. My husband was fishing. I was just sitting there stitching, doing the stamped kit. And we had these two older Dutch ladies about our age or a little bit older come up and say, "Oh, do you speak English?" And we're like, "Yes." And she's like, "Well, can you watch our things? Because the way the harbor is, you can go swimming from either side of the harbor." Some of the photos, I will probably break the slideshows into 2 or 3. But if you look at the harbor, you can go swimming for either side, and people swim across the harbor and go snorkeling or whatever. And these two ladies wanted us to watch their belongings, and then they got me to take photos of them diving into the water and as they were swimming around in the water and stuff. But they were so adorable because they hopped into the water and they were chortling with glee. It was so lovely to hear them just chortling and giggling and and swimming around, and they were sisters, and it was ever so sweet. Really nice to hear them enjoying themselves like that. It was a major blessing and we saw them again on Sundays, and they were enjoying their last day as well. They were going home the same day we did. Anyway, it was an adventure. I'm not a comfortable traveler, but I did it, and it was a complete blessing to be able to spend so much time with my husband and to experience new things and meet new people. We spent our evenings on the patio, interacting with other people. We laughed our heads off sometimes. People were being quite silly at times. The staff were quite confused because I don't drink alcohol. So they were just like, "You just only want water?" Yeah, I only want water. Because I'm sure that I was probably one of the few adults who weren't drinking things other than water. But it was the staff at first, they were quite confused, but then they would just laugh. They would go, "Oh yes, your usual." They were lovely people. Anyway, that's my holiday adventures, and back to normality of gray skies, lots of rain, chilly mornings, and looking forward to Christmas now. I wish you all a wonderful day. There will be a slideshow following this, and I will endeavor not to not to delete this one. Have a wonderful day. Oh, I was going to say, thank you very much to Nifty Stitch as well, because she gave me a shout out, as well as Jemima the Rock. Nifty Stitch is Lauren. She's adorable. A very sweet young lady. And Rocking Stitcher gave me a shout out as well, and I really appreciate them. And they're both such lovely ladies. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.
Mm-hmm.